For too long has the amateur esports scenes across North America and Europe been relatively ignored by the upper echelons of esports competition until recently. Operation Dawn is a way for the various AM scenes across multiple titles to band together for a larger cause. This is the time for competitive gamers, regardless of their gender, race, or skill level, to shatter the mainstream narrative of esports gamers. That we are wasting our time just playing video games. The majority of the general public does not believe that there is much compassion or viability in amateur esports. You and I see that compassion every single day in this amazing community. We can prove them wrong with your unwavering support. The successful completion of Operation Dawn can be the turning point for the various entities of amateur esports who for too long have suffered in silence. Not only can this be a symbolic victory for yourself, our community, and amateur esports at large, but it is a humanitarian reminder to the world that compassion for our fellow man is what makes our species strong. It is a message that the world is aching to hear. After several years of chaos, record levels of depression, and multiple nationwide shortages, it is a display of compassion that we must band together to create. Not just as the people of amateur esports, but as passionate, caring human beings. This is a message that anybody can potentially understand, regardless of their involvement in amateur esports. That is the message that through Operation Dawn, amateur esports scenes across the Western Hemisphere would be endorsing through its various donors. That camaraderie and compassion is what VETA is all about. We will need the help of you and your friends in early to mid-July when we project to commence Operation Dawn. If you want to take part in this critical battle, save just $10 between now and July to ensure the survival of the online amateur esports arenas we all know and love. The VETA community thanks you in advance for your support of Operation Dawn. Together, we can.
Welcome, one and all, to the Excellency Grind, brought to you by AM Grind. My name is DJ, and today I'll be joined by my business partner, Random Minion Caster RMC, for the grind. Today we have up to 10,000 Excellency bucks ready to invest in two young, promising teams looking for a mid-season boost, Gamers for God and New Age Frost. These two teams will enter the grinder and pitch themselves to us in the hope of receiving our financial and professional resources to help them make a push. But if they can't make an impression by the end of the pitch, they may just find themselves ground into dust. Thank you, RMC, once again for joining me as we do get ready for the show. Our first team going to be entering the grind will be Gamers for God and their representative, Dia. So, Dia, please take it away. Show us what you've got.
Thank you so much for having me. I've actually taken the liberty of bringing two special guests with me. I have Blase and Dumpster, two founding members of Gamers for God, joining me today, and I want to check in, make sure that that they can hear you as well.
Yo, what's up, guys?
Yup, we here.
Perfect. So, I wanted to take a minute to introduce them because they're actually going to be able to speak to this team in a way that I, as a simple representative of the company, won't be able to. I can talk stats all day. I can help with outlining why this team is so special, but only they can speak to its spirit. Gamers for God, of course, is a unique organization in excellency because they're a team with a purpose. It's right there in the title, Gamers for God, and they get these games out there super duper fast. They are one of our most promising teams, and I say that because of the fact that they're new and the fact that they've got so much room to grow while being able to fit all of that into a very low time frame. If they have one of the fastest game times in the entire league, if we remove outliers like 40-minute games that were dragged on by wanton opponents, their average game time comes down to 28 minutes 40 seconds, with the average game time of the league being well in the 31-32s. They've got the fourth highest gold per minute in the entirety of the league, following just behind team names that you'll know, like Who Flashed That Fight, AoE God Squad, Sparta Prime. And even though they play fast, even though they get so much gold, they don't get that many kills because they play controlled. They know exactly where they're strong, and they press right where it hurts. Not all over the map like these monkeys that you're used to seeing on the Rift. They have the third lowest deaths in the entire league, and these two guys, Blase and Dempster, are both in the top 10 for kill participation across every single member participating in Excellency Heavy. And if those stats don't speak for themselves, I don't know what will. We're asking for not much. You guys have $10,000 to split amongst you, or so I've heard. And we want to divide that along holy numbers. I'm starting off with an offer, $7,000 for 21% ownership of Gamers for God.
All right. Is there anything that your two guests have to say about the team? Would love to know a little bit more about the product from them.
Well, I just want to say, hold on, let me go first.
Go ahead.
I just want to say that I know Dia has put a lot of faith in us, and I appreciate that. And I think we're underdogs, but we're here to prove everybody else wrong. And I appreciate Dia for giving us some confidence, and it's not going to be taken for granted. We're really going to impress you guys.
Yeah,
so I just want to say that.
Great. Okay, we're looking in for that impression. So I do have a question here. Just looking at the initial valuation, what are we looking at from a short to mid-term time period here? How many returns how many wins can we looking for in this sort of time frame? Are we looking for 3 and 4? Are we looking for a playoff push? What are you guys sort of selling us here? And how do you think our resources will help you push on here in Heavy League?
Blase and Dempster, do you feel like you can answer the question of short-term results a little better?
I think we're definitely looking to make playoffs. Where exactly, that's not for certain, but we're for sure looking for a playoff spot. In the future, we're not sure. We could end up winning. Who knows? But we're definitely trying to secure the playoff spot. Short term.
And part of this, of course, is going to be giving yourself up to a plan that you don't know something entirely about. But something that I know from experience here on the Heavy League is that Gamers for God are orgless right now, and that puts them in a really tight spot against some other big names, things like Lotus, things like Who Flashed That Fight even, that otherwise have the support of either their history or an entire organization behind them. These guys are already going to bat with those teams. And if they can just get a little bit more investment, it'll let them have time to spend for their personal lives, for their religious lives, and to be able to continue furthering themselves as gamers in excellence.
Interesting. Appreciate your answer, gentlemen. RMC, I can see you in deliberations there with your assistants. Can you tell me a little bit of what they've come up with?
For sure. Yes, we have some questions here. Now, I'm a numbers kind of guy here, and so far, I'm not hearing too many numbers. I've heard average game time. I've heard how quickly you win or lose here. Now, you say average 28 minutes, but is that a win or a loss time? How many wins, how many losses do you guys currently have, and what are we looking in terms of projections here?
So the 28-minute game time is both in wins and losses, and part of the reason that I bring that statistic up, Mr. RMC, is because What matters here to me for a newly forming team isn't whether they're winning or losing initially, but that percentage goes up over time. And it certainly has. Of course, starting in the first week, things were a little bit iffy as Sparta Prime was still getting on their feet. So we can, for the most part, ignore those games because Gamers Forgot did technically get a 3-0, but it's not. It wasn't a full out competition. What I will say is that because the average game time is so low, I'm saying that they can get in a lot more games in a lot shorter of a time span. Their actual win-loss isn't technically positive right now because of just having 2 weeks of play, one of which against one of our strongest teams, Glaive Onyx. And the fact is that with your support, I think that we can turn those losses into wins. The debate right now for me is about how much practice volume they can get in because of their short game time.
But Mr. Dia, the numbers, please. I would like their win-loss record.
All right, let me find it for you.
I'll help you out there, buddy, as we transition to mine eventually. It's the same as New Age Frost, 5-4.
Okay, that's not too bad.
Not bad at all. Not bad at all. Should be about mid-table, tied for third at the moment.
May I barge in real quick? I want to say something. We did play against Glaive Onyx, and if I'm not mistaken, they were first, or maybe it's a new team or whatever. We had 2 really competitive games against them. So if we're almost winning against similar, if they are the first seed last split, we almost did win 2 games against them, and that kind of shows a lot to what our potential is for this split.
Interesting, and I do believe in your potential. You know, looking at some of your gold generation over the last few weeks, it has been a little light in the early, stages of your company here. You know, negative deficits at 10 and 20 minutes, but a positive at 30 minutes. So there definitely is some potential growth here. And I have been in conversation with my business partner here, RMC, over DMs as we have been listening in. We are considering a bit of a counter offer. Last question I do want to ask you before we throw that out here is your next 3 games coming up for scheduling. For this sort of short term that we've been focusing on is AoE God Squad, Who Flashed That Fight, and Lotus. So outside of today against New Age Frost, you can include that in these next 4 games, I suppose. Where do you think your wins are coming from that we would be getting back from our investment?
I think we have potential to beat any team. That's something we talked about before. Is that we have upset potential because we play so fast, we play so aggressively. We might throw teams, for a loop because they don't expect us to come out so strong and so confident in our abilities. So I think we can pick up wins against any team, whether it's 1 win or 2 wins. That's.
I'd like to personally jump in as the representative here also and say that Who Flashed That Fight demands an incredible amount of respect from the league. Lotus and AoE do too, but I definitely think that we get competitive series from AoE and Lotus, and I would wager that at least one of those teams goes down to Gamers Forgot.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, we do appreciate your time. So let's flip it over here to our other pitch of the day so that they can have their time as well. We will come to a decision at the end. Blase and Dumpster, do want to thank you for joining us. We'll let you go and get prepared for your games tonight, where hopefully we can see some of that improvement and potential that you've been talking about as you go up against New Age Frost.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Good luck.
All right, Mr. Necrox, the floor is yours, the representative here for New Age Frost, our other pitch of the day.
I appreciate it, Mr. DJ. So wise, you two, for coming out and letting me represent New Age Frost. I'm the only one here from New Age Frost. I have no representatives. They're currently practicing, as I think everyone should be, because the game starts in about 15 minutes or so. But before we get there, let me sell to you exactly why you want your money in the right spot this split, and it's New Age Frost. I'm asking for $5,000 for a 20% stake in New Age Frost, in return a playoff berth, and even a shot at the semifinals. We need training and coordination for our future matches. Our first major problem you can help us solve is time. We need a place to practice and keep building synergies up due to our newer roster and some changes in the mid and AD carry positions. Next, the money would go to research in the top lane and determine what potato can run to cheese even the best of the best on the top side of the map. Lastly, our players are asleep, sadly, at the beginning of every series and drop random game 1s. Your investment would go straight to the mattress company so we can actually pick up a game 1 win. Starting off in the top lane, Preshow is known to be an innovator. He fights 1v2, he's 1v9 at the end of the game, and of course, he's ice cold, he's a refrigerator. In the jungle, Age King, you know his Nunu from last split, he's popping off in the KDA, and a 65% kill participation is nothing to slouch at either, with a positive goal differential at 10, 20, and 30 minutes alike. Our mid laner is new. Rio has shown himself time and time again in the few games that he has gotten to play. Positive gold differentials, good KDA, good KP, and one of the highest CS differentials in mid lane on the charts. Array in the bot lane, not the Array from last spit from Bucky's, but an upgrade in Array. A 3.0 KDA, 73% kill participation for an 80 carry, plus positive CS differentials at 10, 20, and 30 alike. Plus a surplus of 8.0 CS per minute as well. Support Chaser, you all have seen his crazy thresh hooks. There's nothing to tell you here other than he averages 70 vision score a game, 66% KP, and a 3.7 KDA as well. The stats for these players are through the roof, but what really tells a story isn't the numbers, but the story behind the players. Overall, this team is incredibly well-rounded with crazy innovative top laners, an aggressive yet helpful jungler, a mechanically skilled mid laner, a god-handed 80 carry, and a support that never gives up. While we may not have the best stats or the highest win rates in solo queue, New Age Frost will never let you down, and playoffs are only one investment away.
Well, nice to hear that the playoffs may be just the one investment away here. I am gonna focus on one thing. I do like the specificity of your presentation, sir. The one concern I do have is you have presented a few issues here with your company at the moment. The first games, a couple of other things coming up. But one thing I want to focus on is one of the strengths you did highlight here, Mr. Potato Senpai in the top lane. Unfortunately, when we do look at the gold generation coming from your company at the moment, things looking good for Rio, but for Potato, he is negative at 10, at 20, and at 30. So he has really been a big drain on your company's resources. I'm a little concerned, Mr. Necrox, that you are asking me for some of my financial resources into an area in which you are already bleeding.
So this is actually one of the major reasons we're asking for an investment, DJ and RMC. We have been trying our hardest to put our hard-earned dollars into investment, but let's be honest, amateur esports doesn't pay very much, and the R&D money that's required to get Elise top is a little out of our budget. So we need a little bit more cash influx before we can start generating that gold back. But with a minus gold differential of 800, that should be flipped in no time with an investment like 5,000.
Okay, I can see where you're coming from here. I mean, I'm personally still a little sketched on that. But a bigger question I have, Necrox, is that you mentioned that you're only, one investment away from the playoffs here. And correct me if I'm wrong, but New Age Frost, they've had shots at the playoffs before. Did they make playoffs before? And if they did, what was their final position here?
I'm not sure where they ended up last split, but I will divert your attention to the changes that have come this time around. And the two people that I'm keeping my eyes on in this split are the two new players. Yes, you have carries like Age King. Yes, you have carries like Chaser. But the two real members I'm keeping my eyes on are Rio and this 80 carry in Array. They are star-studded. And honestly, with just more time, I would be sold 100%.
If you'll excuse me, Mr. Necrox, but you said you didn't know where they finished, and yet you claim to be a representative of the company. New Age finished in 6th place last year, went to the playoffs, and lost in a 5-game series to Akuma Glaive. So how is that something that has escaped your attention in this pitch? I have to say, sir, that is quite the glaring error there that I would be very, very hesitant to make in a very tight playoff race for a team that has consistently hovered around that place. Yes, sure, they're tied for 3rd at the moment, but we look at their schedule and they really haven't truly been tested in the market just yet, with 3 brutal games also coming up against LBK Lemon, Glaive, Onyx, and AoE God Squad. So that's a pretty disappointing oversight there, sir. And I it makes me very concerned that maybe you don't have all of your things in order. However, I will allow you off the hook for this one in the sense that I do at least like the specific plan you have outlaid here for winning game ones with the specific investment into the betting industry. It's somewhere where I do have some expertise and knowledge. I've sold a couple mattresses in my day to some players that needed a little extra sleep, getting on that 2-hour rest schedule that we all love. So I do think that is an area I could help. It's just going to be a matter of convincing me that you are going to be organized enough to be worth my investment.
And I mean, if I could tell you one final thought here, DJ and RMC, is yes, you can look at the stats. Yes, you can look at past season performance. We've made playoffs before, if anything. That should give you confidence in our ability to at least make playoffs again. But really, the thing behind this team aren't the numbers. It's not what you're going to see on a day-to-day basis. It's what they do behind the scenes, and that is int solo queue, but they int solo queue together. These guys are constantly together looking to improve. And yeah, sure, their win rates aren't great. Sure, he plays the least top Potato does in solo queue and actually just decides to run it down for some reason. But what's more important than that is that they do it as a family. And if you invest in family, there's not a safer investment that you could make. And this is where I'm selling my money, is in this bond between New Age Frost players.
RMC, any final points there from your family?
I will say this. As minions here, our family is rather extended, and we frankly don't care about it. We care about money. That's why all minions have gold in their pockets here. So I'm not sold on this, and I will have to confer further with DJ, but I must say, not looking too good on my end right now.
Alrighty then. Well, we are out of time for the pitch, so do want to appreciate Necrox and Dia coming on here. We have been deliberating behind the scenes, and we will start with our most recent pitch here for Mr. Necrox. We've been discussing it. We like a little bit of what you have pitched us, but some of the managerial mistakes here, frankly, from the representative they have chosen, have left us a little bit skeptical about the control of the operation. So we are willing to extend you the $5,000 that you have asked for all of these resources, which we do think could help the players, particularly with those game ones, but we want some control. So we're going to be asking for $5,000 in exchange for 33% of your company, along with the guarantee that you will win 2 of your next 3 matchups here. That is what we are looking to do with our investment, because we are not sure that with the current trajectory that you're going on, that you will be able to pull games off of any of the 3 teams that are coming on your schedule. How do you feel about our counteroffer?
Just got in contact with the captain and manager. It seems that we have a deal under the great leadership of the Sharks and your staff as well. We seem to be confident in the direction that you all could take us. And with the knowledge that you all provide, RMC and DJ, we're fully focused now on making playoffs together once again.
Alrighty, well, thank you for the deal, Mr. Necrox. We do appreciate your time. We look forward to working with you as New Age Frost makes their push to the playoffs, and hopefully we'll line all of our pockets and theirs with plenty of minion gold. Thank you very much, sir. Now back over to Gamers for God and Dia. RMC, would you like to tell them the decision we have reached?
Okay, and regarding Gamers for God here, Dia, we understand your pitch, and we see where you're coming from. You asked for 7,000 for 21%. Holy numbers here, but unfortunately, I'm not sure that we are going to go with that here. We feel like you're going a lot on potential here, and potential doesn't exactly sell things. So we want a slightly smaller stake here. We're willing to give you 5,500 for 15% to limit our risk here. The funds are a pretty good amount as well, proportionate to what you asked for.
Here's the thing. Random Minioncaster, I respect and I appreciate the time and deliberation that you and your family have put into offering us such a deal, but holy numbers are holy numbers for a reason, and we do like to stick to those. I think that you guys have done us a great service by giving us the opportunity to come on here and audition for your attention. But I think we'll just have to prove ourselves, because the reality is that we don't need your money. God is on our side.
Very well, and you'll probably need God on your side at the rate you're going, but we do look forward to seeing how your team manages to perform here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time, Mr. Dia, Mr. Necrox. With that, we will wrap up this episode of The Grind. Join us next time to see if Glaive Onyx is still the Glaive they used to be, and to see what Stingus does with his cat at night. But for now, we'll throw it over to the analyst desk as we get ready for game number 4.
Say your prayers, New Age Frost.